welcome to another episode of Around the Wicket. This week we'll be doing a bit of a domestic preview whilst also briefly recapping the BBL, which obviously, unfortunately, the Perth Scorchers unfortunately won. So we'll throw to you, Aiden. What was your takeaways from the BBL series, mate? And how are you feeling after the win? And run us through the whole season. I know you watch every game. You're a keen supporter, so let us know.
Well, first off, obviously, unfortunate we couldn't get our Big Bash preview episode out. These things happen, but yeah, we did cover it. We did a few predictions and things. One of those for me was obviously that the Scorchers will make the final because, that's just what we do. Pretty regular occurrence. But playing, I think it was 1 or 2 games at home and then being on the road the whole season and winning it is probably one of the best things a team's ever done in the comp. So that was pretty impressive. Obviously, when you have such a good lineup that, like they were saying after the win, was so connected and really love playing for each other, you're always going to be successful. And V's a really good coach. Having played himself with a few of the boys there, obviously was always going to galvanise the group on the road. And I think it was just incredibly impressive. And watching them pull it off against the Sixers, who are equally as impressive, I thought they had an unreal season as well, was, very, very good to see. I think, obviously, I probably picked a few of my picks were Scorchers biased. One of them probably didn't turn out how I thought it would, with Tymel Mills flying off to the West Indies a bit early and not taking the most wickets. But no, it was all round. The season was unreal. I didn't get to watch every single game, obviously, because life gets in the way. But the games I did watch, including one at Marvel Stadium, where I was one of 2 Perth supporters in the ground, was really good. And overall, just the BBL was obviously a lot of people think it might not have been the best season ever. But personally, I thought it ran pretty well. As far as T20 cricket goes domestically, I thought it was all right. Obviously, it's not my favourite, but I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, that's interesting because I thought you weren't a fan. I thought there was a few messages that floated through that you weren't a fan of the BBL. Does that not happen? Didn't happen, or?
No, as I just said, about 10 seconds ago, it's not my favourite form or league of cricket. I think there's a much more enjoyable things to watch, such as Test cricket or wherever that may be. But I think for a league that is obviously Australian-based and only, 11 seasons in, they did as good as they can be, especially with COVID. I think the Stars will agree that, it's a pretty tough season to get, much popularity going. But no, you're right. As far as my opinion goes, it's not my favourite league to watch when you compare it to all other sports. But that's not what we're here to do. We're here to, talk about how good it is, I guess. So, I thought since the Scorchers winning was probably the best way to top it off as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Obviously the Hurricanes couldn't get it done. They sort of went pretty well, made it quite far, I guess. We had a few injuries as well. Obviously, Paris very early on. Ellis missed more games than he played. Boland had better things to do, apparently. I was pretty proud of how we went. Speech, were you happy with the Renegades, mate? They done pretty well.
Yeah, it was a great season for the boys. Definitely did very well. 3rd straight spoon after winning the flag. So, not every team can say they can do that. So, it's pretty good to be able to accomplish such a great feat as that. But no, look, wasn't expecting much out of us for the season. And then, to win that first game really was, I wasn't expecting that at all against the Strikers, who did surprise me at the end to make finals and go as far as they did, the Strikers. But it is what it is, I guess. That's cricket. We had a young team and, hopefully we don't win the spoon next year. But BBL, a lot to improve on, I think, taking inspiration from other leagues and not being so, pedantic with all their special rules. I think will go a long way for the league improving.
I think that's almost a good thing. It's almost the issue they have where they are taking sort of too much. I don't know if they think they can compare to the IPL or whatever, and they're trying to copy that, which obviously they never will. No one ever can. But I don't know, just a lot of weird rules, like obviously the 70 seconds, like it is rule. We got to get, I don't know what it's actually called, but we got to get out there and face up in time, otherwise they get a free shot at the stumps, which obviously should have happened in the Renegades game.
Sure.
It didn't obviously go ahead, and then Finch was quite unhappy about it. But I mean, you can still say, I guess, subjectively, if you didn't like the competition or whatever. I mean, I didn't mind it too much. I mean, I think the issue is they built it really well, obviously, the first few years with big name players, like some of the greats, like, see Puncher played a little bit, KP, Warney, all that sort of stuff. And I don't know if they thought they could just build it off the back of that and hope that it continued, but it certainly hasn't. Obviously, it's dropped off a lot. I'm still happy to go to a few games, but yeah, what do you think they need to do to improve the BBL, mate? Or like any if you were in Cricket Australia right now, what the first thing you'd be doing?
No, I mean, Cricket Australia, yeah, if I was there, I'd probably think got to increase like the inflow of talent, I think, because I mean, I think at the moment, I mean, the internationals are mostly only from teams touring, which, I mean, there was a solid few English players, but I think for the most part, I mean, the best players aren't English, mostly, as we've sort of seen with their sort of international collapse of the last many months. But yeah, I think that's probably number one, just creating, a better environment for international players to want to come and play for the Big Bash.
Yeah, obviously, I mean, I think it doesn't help either when you've shut out billions and, some of the better cricketers in the world in India, because obviously the Indian players aren't allowed to come and play in the Big Bash.
Correct, yeah.
You got, what is it, Umar Chan, how we say, but obviously he never really played for India, and he's been, he's not, basically, as soon as you play BBL, you're not allowed to play IPL again, I believe. Like, if you're Indian, I believe that's the rule, because they just don't let them play. I don't know. I think it's because I don't know if they think the BBL is going to overtake them or something like that, but like even just getting a few of them big names in would, I think, help dramatically. It takes a few big names, obviously costs a lot of money, but it's a lot of, like, even the international signings, especially that we had, were very subpar, annoying birds. But like Harry Brook, Jordan Thompson, like they were pretty, I guess they had a pretty average season, and they're probably, they're not nobodies, but a lot of people don't know who they are. Before, when you had, KP or whoever, it was obviously a lot different, but no one knows half the bloody international signings in the competition these days. Would you agree, Aiden? Or?
Yeah, well, I probably have a different opinion. I don't really think it's too much to do with internationals. I just think that short form cricket's gone down a touch in the last few years in Australia. Like, you see the same thing with one-day internationals. No one goes to them anymore around the country. I mean, I remember when I was a young teenager, like early teenager, when I got to go to one of them, I didn't go to many because of how far away we lived. But when I went there, and the stadium was full, and I was in awe. Like, it was the best thing. It used to be my favourite form of cricket in that little space there, because as a young kid, which is probably who they want to target in the Big Bash, as a young kid sitting at that one day, I was like, wow. And now you watch it on television, and yeah, they might have one at Manuka and there's no one there. And even at the G, it's half full. And half of that is COVID and stuff like that that's happened. And I think a lot of it is the effect of COVID and how people have realised, oh, well, I didn't actually mind staying at home. I can just watch this at home, and I can watch 3 other things at the same time. Because Australia's problem, where India doesn't have this problem, is that Australia has like 3 other sports competing. Because the BBL goes that long, you end up having the NBL, which is the biggest it's ever been, and the Open, the Oz Open, at the same time competing. And it's like, yeah, well, a lot of Aussies might rather just stay home and watch all 3 of them, or watch 2 of them at once, which you can do now with all the, media you've got. But yeah, I think short form in general has just lost its touch a little bit. And that's, in my opinion, actually not very worrying to see, because I always thought Test cricket should be superior in everything, even though it might not make, Cricket Australia as much money. I think that Test cricket should always reign and have the biggest crowds, which it did this summer. Like at the G, we were all there for a couple of days. It was incredible. And, all the other tests were the same. So, yeah, I don't think there has to be anything drastic to fix it, unless they've lost heaps of money. Like if Cricket Australia have lost heaps of money because the BBL has underperformed that much, then maybe they do need to make changes. And probably luring some more big name players might help that. But yeah, I think the main thing for me would be shorten the bloody thing. Like, it goes way too long. And when it was last successful, when I remember watching, when a lot of internationals came over, was because it was only a month and a little bit. But now it's, you're 2 months and it's just, it shouldn't run like a footy season because it's not as big.
Yeah, I agree. It does go way too long. I mean, the IPL has just been extended, but that's, as we said, that's completely different. That's obviously it's an easier fix to bring international signings into the BBL and fix that. But obviously, with 1 day, obviously you can't do that sort of stuff. Obviously, playing international cricket, so it'd be interesting to see how they sort of fix that. I don't think, as I said, I think Test match is a lot bigger, but I don't think 1 day is still dying by any stretch of the imagination. But I think they did want cheaper TV rights for the BBL because I think it's done that poorly as well. They want to reduce to whatever. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens in the coming seasons. Hopefully the Renegades fold, and that'll be good for the whole comp.
Fold the team without a championship. Thank you.
What's that?
Fold the other Melbourne team without a championship.
Don't think Jive is happy with that. All right. We'll move on to the upcoming Sheffield Shield matches, obviously resuming pretty soon on the 9th, I think, isn't it? Your boys are playing, obviously. So we'll go to the standings at the moment. Obviously, Victoria up top. Obviously, haven't played a hell of a lot of games. 2 wins, and then WA, Queensland, Tassie, South Australia, and New South Wales.
Great to see them at the bottom, isn't it?
Very, very nice.
It's pretty tough for them, though, isn't it? Because basically their second team playing, up to their first team.
Which is still pretty good, by the way. Like the names in there, they still do all right. But yeah, no, you're right. Half the decent talent always plays in the Test team, it seems like.
Yeah, exactly right. But not because they're biased, it's because they're just good. All right, so Victoria versus South Australia at Adelaide Oval. Victoria's last game was against New South Wales, in which they drew. What's your opinion on that? Do you reckon Sheffield Shield should be 5 days? I don't know if we spoke about this before, but do you reckon it should be 5 days, Aiden?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I've never really seen it and will never really see the point in 4-day cricket. I think half the blokes that play it will either be looking into the squad or play in the Test squad, and you never ever play 4 days of Test cricket. You never ever have a Test cricket match that's like, we're only going to play 4 days no matter what happens. Like, it's always going to be 5. So yeah, exactly. I think having your backup competition only play 4, that's really pointless. And even the tour games, like, what I've always never understood why they're 4, because that just means like no result can happen, so everyone doesn't really try. And I'm not saying that blokes don't try in the Shield, but like if it's 4 days, you get so many draws. So you sort of have less incentive to try and win, because you realise that if a team bats for a day and a half, 2 days, no one's going to win unless they've got an unreal bowling lineup as well. So yeah, to me, it's like if the VFL decided we're only going to play 2 halves of 20 minutes, and then the blokes that come from the VFL to the AFL, like, what's going to happen there? Then we tuck it. Like they don't do that. They play 4 games of footy for half an hour each quarter, 4 of them. So why don't the Shield play 5 days? Like, because I think you'll find what will happen is a lot of the games will still go 4 or 4.5 because teams will get the win, So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I agree. I think women's Test should be as well, 5 days. But just interesting, before we go to your speech, I'll run through the standings because it is interesting. Victoria 2 wins, 1 draw. But WA 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. Queensland 2 wins and 2 draws. Like, it's just so many draws. Tassie 2 wins, 2 draws. South Australia yet to win a game, but with 3 draws and 2 losses, and New South Wales with a draw as well. Like, each team there's got 1, 2, or even 3 for South Australia draws. Like, it's just too many. Like, how are you going to have a competition on that? It doesn't make sense. Speech, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I think even if they don't move it to a 4-5 days, I think there still needs to be a reserve 5th day for rain washing out a day or something, like, especially with New South Wales weather, like, we know how great that is, like, and like there needs to be, if they're not going to go 4-5 days, they need to at least commit a reserve day for a weather or whatever there is for not getting a result.
What's the difference in having a reserve day, as you call it, as just having a usual 5th day? Because people are going to still think, is it only allowed to be used if it rains, or are you still treating it as a 5-day match tactically? Like, how does it actually work?
I mean, I think, like, there has been the idea tossed around for a while. I think it is only just if there's been like massive like rain delays. So I think you still play for 4 days. But I mean, realistically, there probably should still be 5. But I think it's probably more likely they implement a reserve day than push it to 5.
Yeah, well, if you like losing at least 2 sessions on day 2, then obviously you'd play the 5th day.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
yeah, that makes sense. But I just think they should do 5 days. Anyway, moving on to Vic versus South Australia. Speech, do you want to run us through the mighty Victorian lineup, mate? Or?
It is a very, very strong team, especially with the Test players coming back. Test opening pair of Harrison, Will Pekowski. It's a very, very strong opening partnership. Remember, was it 2 years ago when Pekowski first got his Test nod here, and Harris had like a 350 run or 400 run opening partnership, whatever it was. Like, that was insane. And then Scott Boland come back in as well. We all love Scott. Good to see him back playing for the Big V. And then you just got other solid guys. You got Travis Dean. He turned up in his last game at 144 not out, I think, in the last game against New South Wales. Sam Harper to keep. Obviously, Pistol Hanscom as captain. And then even Will Sutherland is just coming off 136 in Premier Cricket on the weekend. Like, that's insane. Like, just all these guys that just perform, make runs wherever it is or get wickets wherever it is. Like, it's a very, very strong Victorian lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, Will Sutherland, 136, took a wicket. Park made, 70 runs. Travis Dean, I think, made a half century. Scotty Boland didn't play, I don't believe. Peter Hanscom got run out for like 3, I think it was, something like that. But yeah, obviously you've been watching a lot of Premier Cricket recently, Aiden, with your current role. If you want to talk about that, it's up to you, mate. But what did you see much of it on the weekend? Or
obviously lucky enough to start an internship at Prem this summer. So came in at about round 8, round 9. I've been sort of writing a few match previews and reviews, round previews and reviews, for them, which has been really fun. So I'll be on till the end of the season there. So I've been sort of following it pretty hard at the moment. I've had the full rundown on, who's good and why and that sort of stuff. So really enjoying that. But obviously I can only speak for the Vics in this, so it might sound a bit biased. So apologies. I don't know anything about South Australia, but as far as the Vics go in Premier, so as Speech was just saying, it's a really, really solid lineup. And all of those guys in there that have been playing Prem have been absolutely dominating it. Batsmen been making at least 50s, unless, in Pistol's case, just the one, poor fella, at least 50s. And then the bowlers have all been taking wickets with regularity. And then the guys that aren't playing Prem have all, been beasting the Big Bash. So it's a great lineup. But to go through it, obviously, Petey on the weekend ran out for just the one for Securta, but I'm sure we won't mind that when he goes out to captain the Vics. Who we got? Trav Dean. He was pretty solid as well, 58. To be perfectly honest, I thought he'd make a few more runs, but 50's great when you get him. Sam Harper, a little bit disappointing, but we know how good he is. He's been playing with his brother for Melbourne. His brother's actually been showing him up a little bit, so maybe expect to see Jack Harper
is his brother any
around the
taller
trap
than Sam?
soon. I'm not sure. He's a keeper as well. And he made 200s in a row a couple of weeks ago, his first 2 of the season. So, and Sam, in both games, I'm pretty sure didn't make over 30. So that was just funny to see. But, Melbourne have been playing really well. They're in the top 3, so they won't mind that. Marcus has been unreal. I think he's really taken his Test form, debatable for some people, but I thought really strong Test form into Prem, and he made 97 not out last week against Northcote, and then he finally got the ton. 2 weeks ago, and finally got the ton last week. And St Kilda are undefeated. So I mean, they've got Hanscom, Marcus Harris, and Merlo. So they probably shouldn't be dropping many games, and they aren't. So they're incredible. They've been. Marcus Harris actually made more runs than Essendon on the weekend, and all their bowlers took at least 1 wicket, which is, if you know anything about cricket, that's a good day out. Dutchy Holland's been playing for Frankston, taking a fair few wickets. In his season debut for Prem, he took 4 for, so that was pretty impressive. obviously Maddo's captained the Gades, so that was pretty impressive. He was taking wickets as well, which I was pretty shocked about, but you can actually turn him apparently. Obviously, yeah, Merlot's been really solid, making some decent runs and taking wickets as well. Murphy was taking wickets. The young fella took 3 for on the weekend. And Puck's been batting really well for Melbourne since he's been able to return, which is an awesome sign. Obviously, I'm quite conservative with him, though. I think that I don't really want to see him play professional cricket quite yet. I think he should bat out the season in Premier, sort of get a real solid, pull shot or duck going, just because, it worries me a bit. But, he's been making a lot of runs for Melbourne in Premier. Matt Short was obviously awesome in the Big Bash. And, Will Sutherland, like I said to you boys on the weekend, no real words. We were sort of joking about him. We watched him from the Renegades about how he's might not quite be up to his potential and a bit overrated. But, he reeled off 136 run innings on the weekend and took a wicket. So that is very impressive. They couldn't quite get the win. He had not much help. And, Melbourne got over the top of him. But, wow, that's really shows you what Will Sutherland can do at his best. So hopefully we see a bit of that for the Vicks.
Yeah, well said, mate, and congratulations on your internship. Hope it's going all well. Another one there is Todd Murphy as well. Obviously played a few BBL games there, and I think he was hitting a few sixes when I got there, or he was hitting some big shots at least anyway. With the bat looking pretty good, everyone was taking the piss out of him a little bit, but no, it was good to see. I think he took 3 wickets potentially as well. So
3 for 25. Yeah,
so he done pretty well as well.
And if I may mention a few others, obviously Mac Harvey, who played a lot for the Renegades. He made a unbeaten century, 117 on the weekend. James Seymour made 80, which was impressive. And Will Parker, 77 and 3 for 31. So these are all young guys that you hopefully see for the Vicks in years to come. They all played in the second side today, I think.
Yep.
And the other one there is Fraser McGurk, who hasn't quite been making runs in Premier cricket, but he did make a ton today in the Victoria reserves. So that's good to see. And then for the bowlers, obviously Cameron McClure, he took 4 for on the weekend, was really impressive. Brodie Couch has been unreal for Geelong, who are trying hard to make the 8. And Brodie's really kept them in games and won them games. And another one who I love is Xavier Crone. I think Crone's last, 5 weeks has taken at least 2 or 3 wickets. So, yeah.
Obviously, cricket legend, Xavier Crone.
Your mate speech. All right, beautiful. Let's duck into the South Australian team now as well, because there is 2 teams playing out there. We spoke a lot about Victoria there, but last game...
We're not that biased.
Last game against Queensland, Queensland defeated South Australia by 8 wickets, quite comfortably by the looks of it. Queensland made 299. First innings, South Australia bowled out for 102, so pretty average. They made 284 in the second innings, and Queensland 2 for 88. Why did you write like that for, Steve? All right, go through their lineup now. Obviously, 2 pretty big inclusions in Travis Head and Alex Carey. And who else? We've got Jake Carter. I don't know if you blokes know a hell of a lot about these guys. We'll go through them though. Brendan Doggett, Daniel Drew, David Grant, Henry Hunt, Nathan McAndrew, Lloyd Pope, Liam Scott, Jake Weatherald, and Nick Winter. Anything stand out to you there, boys? Or, besides the obvious, Travis Head and Alex Carey, anything you're looking forward to seeing in their speech?
Henry Hunt, I think, is a big one. He's probably one of the next Australian openers, however many years in the future. I think he's been batting really well before the BBL break for South Australia. He just makes runs. Him and Bryce Street for Queensland, 2 of those next sort of tier of openers coming through. And so he'll be hopefully from just a cricketing standpoint, good to watch in this one. Pope is always good. It's an interesting lineup there for South Australia.
Who gets the win, Speech?
Bias aside, I'd still say Victoria. Just think South Australia hasn't had any Prem cricket since December, so a lot of these blokes haven't played any cricket since the Big Bash, which is a lot different to Shield cricket. So I think Victoria's just got that extra bit of batting and extra bit of bowling in match situations than South Australia does, other than the Test blokes. But still think the Vicks for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't take BBL form into it too much because, I mean, Travis Head was outstanding player of the series, man of the match for the last game in the Ashes, but then didn't do much in the BBL. I mean, you can't really read into that too much, but still obviously great player. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to see the Vicks losing. Obviously, you got Finch and Maxwell out, who we play in the T20 series, but I mean, they've got a lot of young talent there and just talent in general. It's hard to see them losing, I would have thought. No surprises. What I reckon Aiden's going to say. Who's going to win, mate?
Yeah, no, I don't really see us losing, I think.
Beautiful. All right, moving on to the second game. I think it starts same day, I'm pretty sure. Queensland versus Australia, right? I mean, New South Wales at the Gabba. Queensland's last game, well, obviously against South Australia. So who else? Who they got in their team? So obviously Usman Khawaja, captain. Xavier Bartlett, James Baisley, how do you say that? Joe Burns, Blake Edwards, Marnus Labuschagne, Michael Nisa, Jimmy Pearson, Matty Renshaw, Mark Steckety, who done very well on the weekend, I'm pretty sure. Bryce Street, Mitchell Swepson, and Jack Wildermuth. Do you want to take us through that one as well, Speech? I'm pretty sure you saw that you found the Steckety stat, didn't you? So do you want to tell us about that as well, mate?
Yeah, look, first leg of the 2-day matches in last current round of Queensland Prem Cricket. Not a good day for Steck. Done for 102 in his innings with the ball. Not amazing, I would have thought. But he was opening the batting, and they came out to bat late for day one. He's 21 not out, opening the batting, which obviously in the team for Queensland for his batting, clearly by those stats. But that is an extremely strong Queensland team. Like that is scary how deep that team is.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, you got number one Test batsman in there. You got Uzi in there, back-to-back tons, like in crazy form. Joe Burns, I mean, he can obviously go all right, but can be inconsistent. Matty Renshaw, Bryce Street, young up-and-comer. Sweppo, who done very well on the weekend, 4 for 64. Like, it's hard to see them losing. Aiden, what's your opinion on it, mate?
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. And I just think the most dangerous part about them is that lineup, or nearly all guys in that lineup have played a lot of cricket together, whether that's for Queensland or for Brisbane Heat and stuff like that. So that only makes you better when you play with the same guys for months on end. It's not going to make you any worse. It's going to make you a lot better, and you're going to get used to each other a lot more and know what each other's going to bring. So yeah, and obviously they're all great mates and awesome cricketers. So, and when you got Wuzzy, who's coming off double tons in a test match, and Marnus, who's the best in the world, leading your batting attack, and you're probably going to be a bit worried if you're New South Wales, but anything can happen. But that team is definitely one of the best I've seen this season, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to go big call. I reckon Queensland, I'll go to the New South Wales team as well, but I reckon Queensland will win, and I reckon they'll put on even a big call. I reckon they'll declare both innings as well, because I reckon they can almost bat for 4 days. We'll go to the New South Wales team. Obviously, their last game was a draw against the Vicks, led by the captain, Daniel Hughes. Also, Harry Conway, the old boy, Trent Copeland, Jack Edwards, Matthew Gilkes, Ryan Hackney, Ryan Hadley, Baxter Holt, Hayden Kerr, Jason Sanger, Tanveer Sanger, and Chris Tremaine. Obviously, a lot of BBL players in that team. A few players we know very well, some we don't really know very well. I don't know who the two Ryans are very well, but looking forward to seeing what they can do. What do you read into that team, mate? Aiden, or I don't know. Do you know most people?
For me, I think they're the opposite to what I said about Queensland. I think that team's barely ever played together in their complete form. Like when you've got guys like obviously Hughesy has played a lot for New South Wales, but lately he's been at the Sixers, and then you've got Sanger and Gilkes at the Thunder, and so they've obviously played together, but not for New South Wales. Then you've got the old fella Tremaine, who I thought I didn't know he was up there, but so they've got a lot of a mixture of guys coming from all different places, it looks like. They might be the opposite. They might be sort of just getting into knowing each other and how each other play. So they might, I see them struggling in this one a little bit. But in saying that, they've obviously got a lot of talent there. I think Hayden Kerr, like that, like you said, you can't read too much into the Big Bash, but that innings of 90, was it 97, 98 in that Big Bash game? Like, bloke's a fast bowler. His average was 20 or something, and he's come out and whacked 90. So he's obviously a talented bloke. Like, he led them in wickets as well. Both sangers, incredible talents. Gilks as well. Really like Gilks. He was batting really well for the Thunder at the start of the tournament. He really impressed me. The old fella copes. He just keeps on going. Never going to give it up. Looks like the old fella. And then Hughesy, he's one of my favourites. He's always great to watch. He's just really classy bat. Doesn't do too many stupid things with it. And yeah, so that's my take on it. If they do make it close, then yeah, that'll impress me. But yeah, it's always good to see if they struggle.
Beautiful. Yeah, it just about does it. Yeah, so we're wrapping up there. We'll be back in a few days to review our predictions and review how the games went. But that's about it for now. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
So that's